Across the nation, ordinary Americans claim they are being watched, harassed, and targeted. Documents released by Edward Snowden prove that the government is collecting data on its citizens. And it just recently came to light that security agencies were planting bugs in domestic laptops. Military technology has made massive leaps forward in the realms of directed energy weapons. Some claim these technologies are now being turned against the public.
My name is Richard Serrett, and I've been involved in radio and broadcasting for nearly 20 years.
Welcome to Coast to Coast. My guest, Michael Hughes, is offering up a veritable smorgasbord of secret societies.
After 15 years sitting in a radio booth, listening to targeted individuals tell me their story, I've decided to crisscross the country and study this firsthand. All you need to do is type targeted individual into your search engine. There you'll find countless who claim that they are targeted individuals.
I'm a targeted individual, and I believe that the government is targeting me.
I am a targeted individual who is being harassed with directed energy weapons.
With thousands of cases of suspected targeting across the nation, Richard put together a team of specialists to help him investigate. Rob Demarest is a counter-surveillance and electronics expert.
The way that you would decipher between a paranoid schizophrenic and a genuine T.I. is looking for the evidence, and that's why I'm here.
Rob has spent the last 20 years investigating unexplained phenomenon across the globe.
I think that Richard and I make a perfect yin and yang. We fit together because he is really wanting to believe, and I really want the evidence. You put that together, that's a good team.
You know, kind of getting some hot spots there at each shoulder.
And that's where most of my pain is, too.
Over the last 10 years, Dr. Hall has counseled over 2,000 individuals who claim to have been targeted.
We estimate approximately 300,000 TIs exist in the United States alone.
Thousands of people claim they are being targeted, and every one of their stories is filled with unbelievable events.
I know this sounds crazy, but I swear it is happening.
And unusual forms of self-defense.
And that's what I gotta do.
As Richard and the team head out across the nation, their mission is to find out, are these people simply delusional, or are their symptoms and their experiences real? Welcome to the United States of Paranoia.
We begin our journey here in Seattle. Seattle is the home of aerospace industries, defense contractors, so it's sort of ground zero for the targeted individual community.
Hey,
Rob.
Good to see you.
Welcome to Seattle.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with this place?
Based on the situation we have, I did a thorough bug sweep. The only thing that we have present is a high EMF signal.
Dr. Hall should be here in about 3 hours.
Perfect. As far as cases, what do we got?
We have some very interesting cases. Some people whose lives have been turned upside down, people who are basically being bullied and tortured. You know, their life is hell. It's not pretty, but that's why we're here, right?
I think at this point, my biggest concern is how long do you search for targeted individuals before you become one?
Most people who claim to be targeted individuals are reluctant to meet strangers unless it's in a public place. Richard and the team have arranged to meet an alleged victim on a local ferry crossing.
I'd love to get out of this wind, but Daniel wants us to meet him at the bow of the ferry, so...
The team is meeting with Daniel Morgan.
My name is Daniel Morgan. I'm 46 years old. I believe I'm a targeted individual.
A day trader and father of 5, who believes that both himself and his wife are victims of electronic harassment and gang stalking due to Daniel's past association with private defense contractors.
What I've noticed is there's a lot of security cameras, a lot of interested parties wandering around, so it's probably best if I break off.
Yeah, that's a good plan. They're watching us, we're watching them. Welcome to the national security state. Daniel.
How you doing, Richard?
Thanks for meeting us here.
So what do you have going on? I've been targeted for about 24 years. I have gang stalking. I have a lot of pain, leg, my insides.
What symptoms exactly are you having?
Burning sensations, my face, my back, my chest.
What do you say we delve into this a little deeper, someplace a little warmer?
Sounds good. Daniel reports that he's been targeted for over 20 years. He complains of extreme pain, fatigue. He also is a victim, he says, of organized gang stalking and some pretty extreme street theater.
Gang stalking, also referred to as street theater, is a psychological attack. Working as a group, perpetrators engage the victim in ways that are designed to intimidate and agitate. This form of targeting is particularly difficult to prove because after the attack is over, little evidence remains.
Well, our counter-surveillance specialist, Rob Demarest, we want to introduce you to him, and then he's right here. Rob's been...
How you doing, Rob?
That's me.
Counter-surveillance. Good to meet you. Good to see you. I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about this, the organized stalking component.
When I arrived somewhere, there's a number of people in the field. It's like they knew I was coming.
And no idea who these individuals were?
I had no idea who these people were. They told me the police wouldn't believe me. They said I couldn't trust anyone. They said my friends would no longer be my friends.
Daniel's experience is similar to what many victims describe in relation to being gang stalked. The same strangers invading their personal space, muttering words under their breath, repeatedly coughing near them, or following the victim on a daily basis.
One of the key elements that perps use to recruit stalkers is to spread false rumors about an individual. So you can imagine that if you're told that the subject is a drug dealer or a pedophile, then it's easier to bring that person on side. As it turns out, Daniel's wife, Lorna, is also targeted, as are their 5 children. One of the fascinating aspects of your case is you're not just a targeted individual, you're a targeted family. Could we meet your family at some point?
I'm very leery of this.
I understand.
But I think that's doable.
Have you seen a psychiatrist?
Yes, I have.
And was there a diagnosis?
Would be anxiety and depression at times, just due to the fact of what I've experienced over the years.
Understand.
I mean, all I do is try and take care of my kids and my family.
Are you on any type of psychotropic medication?
None. I'll lay everything, I have nothing to hide. I will lay everything out before you guys and let you see what you can do with what I have. I have been so nervous for so long. It's running my life.
Before the team meets Daniel's wife, Richard arranges to meet another potential targeted individual, Ron Gilman, at Gasworks Park.
Mr. Gilman, I presume?
Yes, sir.
Hi.
Richard?
Richard.
Ron Gilman, age 50 and a father of 2, claims that just after leading a class action lawsuit against the state, strange things began happening. He believes that because he was a whistleblower and primary witness in a case that cost the government millions, someone is out to marginalize him through any means necessary.
So, Ron, I read your file, and it sounds like this electronic harassment, organized stalking started in and around the time that you were applying for disability insurance. Tell me about that.
My microwave auditory effect, or V2K, started in the summer of 2010.
Okay, V2K, voice to skull.
Voice to skull.
Voice to skull, also known as V2K, is a form of harassment in which the victim claims that voices are being beamed directly into their minds through modulated waves that can silently travel great distances and temporarily incapacitate victims.
The idea is that V2K can be used as what they call an invisible scarecrow to get in people's heads, to drive them virtually insane. How would you describe the audio?
It was like a cell phone up to my ear. It was so crystal clear. It was non-stop. I was getting sleep deprivation. They'd keep me up for, I think the longest I was up for was 8 days. They told me that you might want to consider suicide.
To me, the ones that are credible are those who are searching for answers. They're saying, why is this happening to me? Who is responsible? How are they doing it? All I want to know is, how can I make it stop?
Richard meets up with surveillance expert Rob, and the two of them travel to Ron's house to review the evidence that he's collected.
So this is home, Ron.
Welcome to my house.
When you arrive at Ron Gilman's house, you are
here.
This is the most I believe I can do legally to introduce to the world of what's going on and what's about to happen to everybody.
Should we head in?
Yes, let's.
Is there any history of mental illness in your family?
There's absolutely no mental illness in my family. Never, ever a question about my mental ability, ever.
But who's to say that any mental health issues may not have been caused by being subjected to electronic torture 24 hours a day for 7 days a week?
Oh, exactly. I'm stressed. You know, I'm worn out. Sleep deprivation takes its toll. It's amazing what has come about in my life in the last month in this house.
How do you mean?
The technology that I have seen. I've seen holograms. I have video of all this.
And you made copies?
You know, I did. They're on one of those SD cards.
We'll look at those. During my conversation with Ron, I thought he could definitely be a targeted individual. Then Ron started talking about seeing holographic images. It just started to raise a few flags.
There's no way they did that. They just told me. I've had these on me ever since I got them, so there's no way they just.
What happened?
They just told me that they got them.
The voices told you what?
They just told me that they got those tapes. There's no way. Well, there is a way. I mean, I got to sleep, so. Let's see what.
You mean these have been bulk erased, or?
Oh, man. I've had so much erased, it's not even funny. But, you know, let's see.
Okay, what is this? Underground parking garage? Or no, this is your house.
This is car right
That's
there.
your car,
There's
okay.
Apartments. There we go.
Oh, wow, is that it? Oh, okay, there's a hologram right in here. This is another one. Here he is. See him? See the... Well, wait, no, hold on. Don't let me get excited. Where's that light coming from? Okay, there were two people. God, let me go over there. Oh, it's going to be cut on and off.
Oh, this is security camera footage.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
and these guys came in the house. There's one standing here the other night.
Well, we're back in the kitchen here. Is this what we're looking at here?
Okay. This is one that happened the other night. God, I'm glad I have that one at least. Okay, what you're going to see is, again...
Okay, here we are.
Okay, let's see where I can find him here. They're a little bit more obvious than that. You know, maybe if I fast forward, I probably just went right to...
But these images were moving, right?
Oh, yeah, they move.
Okay, they're stationary. There's nothing...
Yeah, there's projection in here. I mean, they're projected in here. They're not here.
No, but they are
move.
moving around. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't see anything there. But,
Well, yeah, I mean, it's very hard to... Every time I show a tape, you know, everyone wants to see that thing right away, and it's very... Even for me to see him is difficult sometimes, but it looks to me like he's... God dang it, I wish I had paused. Okay, you see right here?
Yes.
You see that thing?
Okay, I see two sort of little...
Glasses.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, perhaps.
Okay, there's a man and a woman here at that time.
Can you show me what you've done in terms of countermeasures and how you're trying to shield yourself or protect yourself?
Sure. Ron's kind of an inventor. Do anything to get rid of the frequency. Oh, I had a big blast to the head, yeah. Bad boy blast. I mean, it's a major hit. You know, just a bam. I'm proud of this thing.
After spending some more time with Ron, I began to see symptoms of schizophrenia. This guy really needs help.
And that's what I gotta do.
Richard and Rob are at Ron Gilman's home. He claims to be a targeted individual, but so far, the evidence is proving hard for Richard and Rob to accept. Ron produces a homemade helmet, which he says helps block voice-to-skull technology, a form of harassment in which victims claim that thoughts are being placed directly into their minds.
I'm proud of this thing. Took me a while to build it.
So this is made out of paper mache. And what do you have? What are these?
These are speakers. Yep.
And then it's hooked up to AM, FM, or?
Actually, I had it hooked up to a CD. I don't like AM, FM. Because I believe they're transmitted over that. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it would be one of the easiest ways for us to do it. If we wanted to transmit something is through AM, FM.
So when the V2K would get really bad, you would put on this helmet.
And that's what I gotta do.
You have eye holes through there? You can watch TV, or?
Yeah, I have eyeballs in here. I just don't know which way to go right now.
Rob, try it on, because you're the height.
That's not gonna happen. No, no. If it was connected, I would.
No? Because I'm claustrophobic. I want to get a sense of what you experience when you put this thing on.
You know, this is what it took, paper mache.
Yeah, no, this is not pleasant for me. Ron Gilman is, I say, a little eccentric. He's taken extraordinary measures and a very proactive approach to try and shield him from some of these effects from directed energy weapons. He's constructed this rather silly-looking paper mache helmet with 16 speakers all attached to an AM/FM radio to block out these voices in his head. Now, to an outsider, it might look rather ridiculous, but for Ron, it seems to give him some relief, and who am I to argue? This is your Mylar vest.
This is what I call my, safety vest. And as you can see, it covers my nutsack. Goes like this.
It's like a little cod piece.
I don't care how I look. I'm not going to be attacked because I know they can heat up my body.
Right. Ron also wears a Mylar vest to limit the effects of this directed energy weapon he believes is responsible for his intense pain and heart palpitations.
I know they could force words. I know they could do a lot of things.
While Ron's defensive measures appear harmless, for some alleged targeted individuals, the outcome has been far more destructive.
We have these horrific stories like Aaron Alexis. He was hearing voices. Was that voice to skull? We're not really sure. We may never find out.
In 2013, Washington Naval Yard worker Aaron Alexis went on a shooting rampage.
Alexis shot and killed 12 victims before he was shot and killed by law enforcement officers.
But prior to the shooting, Alexis claimed he was hearing voices in his head sent by top-secret military technology.
At this point, I can confirm that Alexis held the belief that he was being controlled by extremely low-frequency electromagnetic waves.
Ron Gilman claims to suffer from the same alleged form of targeting as Aaron Alexis. But the more he shows our experts, the more Richard and Rob become doubtful of his case.
I know they could force words. I know they could do a lot of things.
Ron exhibits a plethora of ideas that surround targeted individuals. So it comes to a real challenge to find out if any of those ideas are true.
Before they write him off, Ron produces one more piece of evidence, a polyp that was removed from the back of his head, which he believes contains a radio frequency tracking device, or chip.
Skin growing in skin. You see that little black dot on there?
Yeah.
That's probably it.
That's, when you say it, that's the chip.
That's the chip.
Okay.
Many targeted individuals claim that radio frequency identification chips, also known as RFID, have been secretly implanted in them. Similar to what is used in an average ID card, victims claim the chips can track, induce pain, or even physically manipulate them, all from a remote location.
Can we hook up a multimeter to that?
I believe we can.
A positive charge would suggest that the polyp is transmitting electromagnetic frequencies, and these may be coming from an embedded microchip.
Okay. And we are getting a charge.
Are we getting a charge?
Yeah, take a look.
Oh, shit.
What we're going for is electric current. The tri-field meter measures changes in the electromagnetic field around it. Now, Ron's polyp gave off a pulsating signal up to 3 milligauss, the milligauss being the measuring unit of EMF. This means the polyp is actually generating its own EMF field around it. What this makes it is interesting. Initially, I believed that Ron was showing signs of schizophrenia. However, the strange readings coming off the polyp mean that there may be something really going on here.
The fact that it's conducting electricity doesn't really necessarily say anything because it's human tissue. That conducts electricity, sure. Right? That's why we get electric shocks. Mm-hmm. But what's significant is that it's emitting something.
Or even more so than that is it gave me my smell and taste back after 8 months of losing it.
I really need to spend more time with Ron Gilman. I'm really anxious to see this video footage that he says he has and see what Dr. Hall thinks of these polyps.
While Rob heads off to check Ron's video evidence, Richard and Dr. Hall meet Daniel Morgan and his wife Lorna in a nearby park. Like Daniel, Lorna complains of organized gang stalking in public places.
Lorna, come here for a moment.
Lorna Morgan, age 36, is a former bridal shop owner and mother of 5. Lorna complains of extreme autoimmune system attacks, potential RFID chip implants, and organized gang stalking.
Lorna, Richard, this is very unusual and a very valuable case for us because we have a whole family that's being targeted. Lorna, there's quite a medical history, obviously, but are you able to, do you think, separate what's happened to you medically versus potential targeting?
Yeah, I was healthy. There's no autoimmune diseases in my family. No cavities, no colds, never went to the doctor, never had to take a medication, and then it just started, you know,
one thing after another.
One thing after another, just little things, just, you know, having to throw up all the time. I've been hospitalized for months at a time, and doctors trying to figure out exactly what's wrong, and I've been given the diagnosis of Crohn's, and then that was kind of taken away.
Some of the issues that we're seeing with Lorna as far as her autoimmune diseases, something's going on there. It may be targeting, it may be environmental, it may be a combination of the two, but we have to research all aspects of this.
Would you allow Dr. Hall to examine you at some point?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You must feel like rats in a cage.
No, that's exactly how we feel.
Exactly it.
In Daniel's previous line of work, he had dealings with prominent defense contractors. Is that the reason that Daniel and his family are being targeted? What's the military component here?
In my case, it's black helicopters circling, stopping us in the middle of the night. I mean, it's very frightening.
Have you been able to document any of this?
Over the years, I actually have many, many hours of it. Out here. Quick, quick, quick. Show me name.
I am.
You see it?
Just as Richard and the Morgans start discussing helicopters, something catches Daniel's attention. Tens of thousands of Americans feel like they are being watched by their own government. The reasons vary. Some believe it's Big Brother, a form of government control, while others feel they are being marginalized for their beliefs or actions. But the question remains, is this really happening?
What's the military component here?
In my case, it's black helicopters.
Richard and Dr. Hall meet with...
Mentioned that the two of you...
Yeah, just last night, some gentleman walked up to me and goes, lupus no more. And I'm like, what? Like, it was just mom sick and laying down, and they know when Dad has his bad days. You know, do they know in depth what's going on? No, not at all.
Dr. Hall, is there any connection, do you think, between the illnesses that Lorna is enduring and what these perps are capable of doing and the technology?
Certainly health issues.
Chronic electronic exposure of high-frequency waves can cause extreme illness and pain. The Morgans are all showing multiple symptoms. Even the family dog appears to have been infected.
Have you been able to document any of this, particularly the gang stuff?
Going back to where we're staying and look over some of the stuff that we have?
Oh, absolutely.
We'd love to.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, that'd be great.
This is one of the more legitimate cases that I've seen. Something is going on.
Later, the team returns to the home of Ron Gilman, who claims to be a victim of directed energy weapons as well as voice-to-skull technology.
Hi.
Come on in.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Having heard that Ron's polyp had given off its own frequency, Dr. Hall will examine him thoroughly to see if there are any other unspecified frequencies being transmitted from Ron's body.
The hospital, roughly ER, probably about 12 times.
You have degenerative disc disease, and you were on a number of medications.
They started giving me medications, pain for the muscles.
Well, they certainly seem to have bombarded you with plenty of medication.
They sure did, yeah. And I begged them to stop.
We should mention that a number of physicians attempted to label you as a paranoid schizophrenic.
Yes, sir. In fact, this was dated 8/31/2011. I will quote him. He is paranoid schizophrenic who is untreated and probably undiagnosed.
Ron Gilman is an individual who clearly is in need of help. The real question is whether that's because he's a targeted individual or he has mental illness.
Tell Dr. Hall.
We can probably do a cursory exam and maybe a little bit of scanning and, you know, see what happens.
All right.
Want to look in your ear and see what's inside.
And lots of doctors look inside.
Nothing unusual. Looks like a pretty normal middle ear, so I don't see any scarring or anything that looks like anything could have been put in through the middle ear. All right. And your main complaint was kind of the back of the head, right?
Feels like a halo headache. I mean, and I get jolts, just boom, boom. A lot of times where the RFID is located.
Okay, so don't you stay just in that position for me.
Okay.
Dr. Hall uses a handheld bug detector to determine whether Ron is emitting any unspecified electromagnetic frequencies.
There are two types of implants, a passive and an active implant. Active meaning that it's battery powered, and passive meaning it has to be stimulated by an outside source to give off a transmission.
Anything, Dr. Hall?
Hard to say.
Now, do you know something like that can be turned on and off, Dr. Hall?
To the casual observer, it would be very easy to dismiss Ron Gilman. Oh, that guy's crazy. Look at that funny paper mache hat. The way I look at it is, if I were one of these scumbags responsible for electronic harassment, who would I pick to discredit this whole theory? I'd pick someone like Ron Gilman.
We're not getting anything clean right now.
Richard and Dr. Hall go to visit the Morgans in their hotel room, who claim that they've been the victims of electronic harassment, which has led to a major deterioration in their health.
Good evening.
How's it going?
Hey, guys.
Thank you for coming.
The team are keen to examine the Morgans and review some of the evidence they've gathered over the last 20 years.
You've brought a lot of stuff with you, Daniel. A lot of documents.
I actually have a few filing cabinets full of it over the years.
I can sit down and review that with you.
Okay.
And I guess, Dr. Hall, you're going to examine Lorna.
Yep, I'm going to take a look at your wife and see what she's got going on as well. And maybe a real rudimentary exam on you, too.
Let's do it.
So when was the lupus diagnosed?
About 1.5 years ago.
How much do you attribute to the targeting?
90% of it is targeting.
Lorna Morgan is suffering from lupus, fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, and Hashimoto's thyroiditis, all of which correlate with the onset of her targeting. Like your husband, do you have any fear that you've been possibly implanted or anything like that?
We did have a scan, and they did find 12 with the RFDI chips in me that sent signals back, so.
I think maybe we can repeat some scanning and see what goes on.
This is an MC-12 Project Liberty. Its only purpose is intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. That's all they do. And I have many, many pictures of them leaving Air Force Base, coming straight to my home.
Every time this aircraft flies over their home, Daniel's family suffers unexplained ailments. The MC-12 is a militarized plane with classified surveillance equipment, including a ground exploitation cell and SATCOM data links.
Here's one.
Okay, this is your home here. Now, which line are we looking at? The yellow line?
Okay, the yellow line is what I just drove.
Right. Okay, so you drove up the street?
I went to pick up my son.
Okay.
I picked up my son, everything was fine. You can see that I went to come out of the school and I heard that line, and you can hear this distance. It's not that far, they make a lot of noise. Now I'm starting to sweat, I start throwing up, and I just feel sick to my stomach with sharp pains in the center of my back, like I can't breathe, I'm gasping for air. And now I'm panicked because my 15-year-old son is in the car, and he knows it's not right.
You might recognize some of these tools.
Yes.
This is just a general scanner, what we call a JM20.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to stand up, or?
Yep, if you could. Kind of getting some hot spots there at each shoulder.
Yeah.
Seems to be worse on your right side than your left.
And that's where most of my pain is, too.
When I scanned Lorna Morgan, I got strong RF readings in the same areas that had been found in her previous scan. The results of that scanning show that she does have either a radio frequency transmitting from her or possibly transmitting to her.
While Daniel and Lorna's claims seem extraordinary, they are supported by vast amounts of data and photographic evidence.
Here's the rash on my face that starts. Now, this goes on, you'll see my eyes get worse. I can feel it pulsating from the front of my head.
If you don't mind me saying, you're unrecognizable here. I would not think that was...
That happens to me twice, 3 times a year.
And this happens after the helicopters pass over?
Yes.
Kind of having some hits on the right side of your scalp.
Okay.
And again on your flanks. I mean, really powerful signal along the right side of your flank and hip.
Okay.
Because this thing is squelched down pretty far.
Oh my goodness. Well, hold on. No, just trip me out. Hold on, can I cut you guys right here? Because I'm going to faint. I'm going to go for a walk real quick. Sorry.
Lorna!
Hey,
Oh my
okay?
God. No, some just messed up really bad.
What do you want to, why don't you sit?
Yeah, no, I just want to stand for a minute.
You're okay.
Like the whole room bounced, and then I just, yeah.
We'll just,
happens sometimes.
Let's just give it a little break.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Something just changed.
No, just, I mean, just don't, at your leisure.
Okay, yeah.
We're not going to
no.
force anything.
No, I don't mean...
Working together toward the goal of trying to find out what's going on.
All right, want some water?
Yeah. No, I'm good. We'll do this. You're here to resuscitate me if I need it, right? Okay.
Richard.
Yes.
I rescanned her and she came up positive in the same places that she was scanned before.
So what do you think that is?
Well, either there's transmissions coming in or coming out of her.
It's interesting because Daniel may have chips in both hips. Could we do a scan on him?
Sure. And you are getting a very strong signal.
It's making me very sick. Just the antenna and just receiving the signal from my back is starting to give me palpitations and I'm breathing.
So I would say we are getting similar signals to what was demonstrated on his prior scan.
Why would he feel ill while you're scanning him?
Well, ironically, this is the same spot that I was also scanning his wife when she began to feel ill. So, I mean, it could be that if he is being targeted, that they're targeting while he's being scanned.
I am a targeted individual who is being harassed with directed energy weapons.
It is believed that there are over 300,000 recorded cases of targeted individuals in the U.S. alone. Electronic torture through microwave radiation is no joke and can result in burns, insomnia, and extreme headaches. Many TIs have shared dozens of internet videos outlining the extreme defensive measures.
So, I know this sounds crazy, but I swear it is happening.
As their investigation draws to a close, Richard and the team retreat to a makeshift base to discuss the cases they've come across in Seattle.
All right, Ron Gilman. What do we make of Ron Gilman?
I went through everything that he presented, and that was hours of footage. I could find nothing present that would indicate that he is being targeted. We do know that the diagnosis that he has received is a psychiatric illness as well. This is someone who needs professional help.
Whoa. Doctor, do you concur with that?
Ron's very obsessed with being a victim. We've reviewed the data, the things he thinks he's seeing, we're not seeing. There's been some psychiatric history with him before. I'd like to see him get appropriate psychiatric help, get on right medications. You know, there's definite signs there that there's some, some mental issues that probably need to be addressed.
I mean, his rationale for why this whole thing started, that didn't quite add up to me.
Oh, you want to talk about things that don't add up. We pull up to the house. You've got stuffed animals in cages. You've got small mannequins looking out telescopes. You have a TV that he has pretty high volume on, playing a looped cassette for his neighbors and passerby 24 hours a day.
You know, I've been listening to you, Rob, about the lack of evidence, and we still have to mount a case here, build a case. There still has to be some evidence. I'm not seeing it.
It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
We still have the polyps. We still have to have those biopsied.
I would wager that when those samples are examined, they come back as perfectly normal.
He's eccentric. He's odd, to be sure. And the longer he talks, the less sense he makes. All right, gentlemen, Daniel Morgan, father of 5, also his wife, Lorna. What do we make of the Morgan family?
I really feel for him. This is a tough case.
20 years of documentation is a lot of documentation, and he does have it.
Well, we have the photographs of the family with all sorts of rashes, blisters, which seem to coincide with some sort of military aircraft flying over the house. Plus, you were there in their hotel suite performing a scan.
And the interesting thing with that scan is they had had a radio frequency scan done prior. And when I did their scan in an entire different location, I found the same hot spots on them.
You can't fake that.
But there is paranoia present. So we have a list, and he admits it. And I don't think there's anything wrong.
Well, if you're being attacked all the time,
exactly,
paranoia
that's what I'm
is
saying.
a normal
He comes by that honestly.
saying.
He comes by it honestly.
The following day, Richard and Rob meet the Morgans at a local cafe to discuss their findings.
Listen, I have to tell you, I can't even begin to imagine the hell that you and your family, have endured for the last 2 decades. The evidence here is so concrete, and Rob, you're a hard ass when it comes to evidence, and I think you've been impressed.
Look, the team as a whole believes that you are being targeted.
This is happening on such a huge scale, and people don't understand it, and that's why we appreciate you guys coming to us and kind of helping us get the word out there and the awareness.
It's time to stop preaching to the choir. We need to get this message out to the world that this is going on.
I mean, if we don't fight now, they're coming for you. That's the bottom line. That's how I see it.
That's it.
Yeah,
Stop it now. Stop it now.
Let's put them on notice. These scumbags, whoever they are, really picked on the wrong family.
That's the truth.
After seeing the documented evidence, I've seen the photographs of the rashes and the burn marks. There's something more going on here. I mean, look what's happening in the news. We're hearing about all of these whistleblowers coming forward and telling us about the NSA hacking into our cell phones, hacking into our computers. I mean, this is real. This is not, fantasy land. This is in the newspaper. Pick it up, read it, and start to understand that maybe your paranoid friends are right.
6 months after filming the Morgans, they continue to suffer. Lorna's health has deteriorated, and she is now bedridden 5 days a week. Daniel claims to have found another lump on his forehead, which has baffled doctors. Although he says the helicopter stopped for 6 weeks, he continues to be zapped by the MC-12 planes flying over his house. He refuses to move home, as he claims these attacks follow him wherever he goes. He would consider building an EMF-free safe room in his house if he could find the $45,000 to do so. Next up, Richard and the team arranged to meet Ron to give him their final case analysis.
Morning. Morning, Ron. Sorry, my hands are a little cold there.
How you doing, Ron? Good morning.
Ron, this case has been a difficult one for us. Because as you know, I mean, we believe in targeted individuals as a phenomenon. We believe in electronic harassment. So what we're here to do is to gather hard evidence to help build a case.
Understand.
And that's been the dilemma with this one. We're finding it hard to grab on to some solid evidence. It's not there. We can't build a case with what we have so far. Rob, you've looked at a lot of the video footage.
Went through a lot of the video. I looked for the holograms. I looked thoroughly. Unfortunately, they weren't captured.
Right. We are going to try to get these polyps looked at. I've got a couple of ideas of places I can send that. Hopefully we find something. The other thing you're really fighting is the fact that you've been prior diagnosed, psychiatrically. Unfortunately, that's one of the things you're going to have to kind of follow that path and probably let yourself get some treatment.
It is what it is, and I'll just keep going the way I'm going as long as I can do it for him.
Ron, pleasure.
Ron. Good to meet you. Good to meet you.
Stay strong.
I will.
Seattle marks the beginning of what promises to be a pretty long and perhaps harrowing journey, but I'm not going to stop. Now, I might not be Edward Snowden. I may not have the resources, the money that the perps have. One thing I've got, though, is the truth. They don't stand a chance.
The cockpit of a stunt plane is quite a place to come to terms with the fact that you have a fear of heights. Idris Elba, No Limits, is new for Discovery Monday at 9 as his exciting brand new series continues. Next tonight, it's Moments of Terror.